So I've been playing a game called Interstellar Transport Company over the past week or so. It's a space trading tycoon game developed by MightyNord, a Chicago-based indie studio. Now before we go further, I want to point out and make very clear that this is indeed a sponsored video, and I am in fact being paid to produce this content. Take from that what you will, but do stick around while we dive into ITC. So Interstellar Transport Company is actually a game I intended to cover late last year, but its release during August of 2017 unfortunately was overshadowed for me by a plethora of other titles. I even had it downloaded and ready to play on my PC at one point, but I just never got around to it. Thankfully though, MightyNord was willing to work with me, and I was finally able to take a gander at the game. And while Interstellar Transport Company is certainly a bit rough around the edges as it's still in early access and its alpha stages, there's some really neat ideas that you don't often see in other tycoon games. And look, I love tycoon games as well. Roller Coaster Tycoon was a game I played way too much of as a kid, as was SimCity, Zoo Tycoon, all these other ones, including one little game called Starship Tycoon. I don't really remember if that was a good game or not, I just remember playing a lot of it as a kid. And yeah, getting to throw myself into an updated space trading game in this day and age is something I really wanted to try out. So Interstellar Transport Company thrusts you into a galaxy overview with icons everywhere, as every tycoon game does. This one simply says, hey you, use your crazy capitalist mind to colonize the galaxy. And yeah, that's something that really kind of sets ITC apart from a lot of other space tycoon games I've played, and I've played at least a couple. It's almost like a 4X game in addition to being a space trading game. Only without the exterminate bit in 4X, so I guess it's kind of a 3X. Unless you count not sending precious water to a planet because it costs too much, then you'll exterminate a lot. So the game took me roughly 40 minutes to an hour to really get a grasp of. It's not the most intensive tycoon game I've ever played, but it took a bit of a learning curve to figure out where all the UI stuff and some of the different mechanics in it. After a while, I got the basic trading down and learned how to properly manage my finances to afford expanding out and all that good stuff. It's simple enough to get a grasp of. You make a trading route between 2 or more planets, click on them to see what their needs and demands are, then buy a ship to send everything from food to emergency food, people. You start out by mostly sending some one-way rockets to shuttle supplies, but eventually you can afford yourself some fancy ships that go back and forth with goods between planets. And once that happens, the balancing act of these tycoon games kind of begins, because like some planets have lots of food and others don't, but you have lots of raw materials there and vice versa. So do you make ships that carry an even amount of both, thus making a small income on every stop, or do you make a dedicated pizza delivery shuttle to feed all the new starving colonists, knowing you won't make anything when it gets back to home? Once you get a couple routes going, things start to automate themselves somewhat. You then set your sights on upgrading spaceports, constructing buildings, colonizing new planets, and making specific materials or goods, everything that you kind of expect from a tycoon-style game. But to me, the time that ITC really picked up wasn't until my third or so game when I started adding in some AI companies. You see, before that I had been playing as a singular company because the game kind of starts you off without any other AI players. I decided to add some of those ones in finally, and I have to say my experience was a lot greater after I did that. You see, my lowly trading company, the Paddy Wagon, never really had any direct competition until I started another game with AI, and ITC does something very interesting with competitor companies in that you're of course directly competing, but their expansion can also be very beneficial for you. The other companies constantly expand the galaxy and fill it up with colonized planets, even in a really smart way. They seem to prioritize high habitable planets first, and then move on to ones with resources to fund the production of more expensive goods. But the thing is, when the AI starts to expand the galaxy, you too have access to these same trade routes and can expand your company. So yeah, the other company might have more reputation in that area, but that doesn't stop you from reaping the rewards of, say, the pizza famine on Urban 6. The game constantly grows and changes even without the player being active. I actually tested this out myself by making a new game, starting a couple trade routes and making sure I was profitable, then just idling the game for an hour while I went and shoveled snow. Yeah, it took me an hour to shovel snow. I live in Canada. There's a lot of snow around here. And when I came back, not only was my company still making its meager profits, but the AI had expanded the galaxy exponentially, and this opened up some really cool ways for me to expand as well without spending oodles of money. So yeah, I'd say my experience with ITC has been less about winning per se, more about playing with the economics and AI behaviors to see how my galaxy starts to shape up. It's a bit of a slow process, but it's been fun to test while I, say, listen to a podcast or watch a TV show. I've just been kind of doing other things while I play the game, so I'm not like a restless mess at my desk like I usually am. And if you don't want to be lonely, there's also a multiplayer mode as well that MT Worlds is currently testing out, and who knows what weird stuff you could do with two people trying to, like, test out the AI or the galaxy expansion. It'd be great for people who, like, sit in Discords and talk to each other for, like, hours on end. You could both do something at the same time and not just feel super monotonous. Yeah, I'd say my experience in ITC has been pretty positive overall. It's still in early access though, so expect it to be a bit rough around the edges with things like UI and the like. Nothing's like missing in it or anything, it just kind of needs a bit of a cleanup. Anyways, that's Interstellar Transport Company by MT Worlds. They seem like cool guys, and the game is currently available on Steam for $21.99 Canadian or your regional equivalent if you want to go and take a look. If you want to see some more gameplay too, there's plenty of Let's Plays out there that you can go and check out and see what the game is all about, or you can ask the developer on Twitter or Facebook. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to help you out. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to head out now and start up the Patty Pizza Pie Company and deliver quality to the rest of the galaxy. It's $5 space dollars off your medium pepperoni too, so call now.